Yes, you are audible. I think
Yeah,
very clear. Yeah. Thank you, sir.
yeah. Good morning to all of you on behalf of CIRDAP family. I would like to extend a hearty welcome to every one of you. It is my privilege to welcome my colleague Dr. Mohammed Hilal Uddin, Vice Chairman of Bangladesh Microcredit Regulatory Authority, as esteemed speaker for today's webinar. Dr. Hilal, welcome to you.
Thank you.
It is very important, topic for all the CIRDAP member countries. This study was carried out for 2 years, and finally we published and circulated that report. And CIRDAP wanted to discuss, the outcome of this study with all the CIRDAP member countries. I'm very happy to see uh, participants from, many member countries. I would like to welcome you all. Just to talk on the topic, basically we are going to see how food and nutritional security policies of CIRDAP member countries are impacting achievement of sustainable development goals. Basically, we face four important challenges: ensuring food security to the nation, ensuring nutritional security to the societies, ensuring income security to farmers, and also addressing climate change. See, today, if you take around 880 million people are undernourished.
We always
That is
sharing it.
nearly 10% of our global population. The problem is going to aggravate in the days to come. By 2050, when we attain the global population of 10 billion, we need to produce more food, and agriculture land is shrinking. Rural people are migrating from rural areas to urban areas, and also climate change is adversely impacting agriculture, bringing more pressure on the policymakers and the nations to work out, very effective policies and programs. Probably this talk is a good, food for thought for all the policymakers and member countries. So with this brief introduction to the topic, I welcome Dr. Mohammed Hilal Uddin again. And the floor is open to you, Dr. Hilal. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. And welcome to this presentation. Am I audible? It seems like internet connection is a little bit of not stable.
Sir, you are audible, sir.
Okay. So today's presentation is like I'll emphasize on the policy findings mainly because it's a report as Director General of CIRDAP. The sir said that we spent 2 years to come to this point. So there are many input in the report, but I mean, hoping to present so many, but I know that the time will restrict us to the main findings. So I'll give the background and then the most important I mean spare of the report, but I'll skip many of them. And the report is available. We can share the report. I guess it's already published or about to be published. So you can consult. And also if there's a question, I can go back to the certain section of the report. I'm just is it showing rightly the screen? Or I think I have to share again. Okay. Here is the
Yes, we can see, sir. We can see,
okay.
sir.
Now it is RDR 2023, that is Rural Development Report, and this is the flagship report of CIRDAP. And this time the title is Assessing the Role of Food and Nutrition Security Policies of the CMCs, CIRDAP member countries, in helping the poor and attaining the SDG. So this is the title. Now, as I said, the main findings and policy implications will be emphasized, and other section will be kind of like I'll touch minimally. Now, the question is like, why did we choose that topic? We know that the COVID-19 pandemic and the Russian-Ukraine war have unleashed a new global challenge, food insecurity for many people. In the Asia-Pacific region, for instance, the pandemic has disrupted supply chains, increasing food prices, and reducing access to nutritious food for vulnerable populations. The increased pressure due to these adverse shocks has created a tremendous burden on governments across countries to mobilize adequate resources to help people in lower income strata and those who are desperate in terms of socioeconomic backgrounds. Adverse shocks have significantly hindered progress towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in the Asia-Pacific region. Given the gravity of the situation, the study aims to assess the adequacy of CMC's food and nutrition security policies to help the rural poor living there and the likely impact of such intervention on the SDG targets in context. And obviously, the mandate of CIRDAP is the poor and marginalized people in rural Asia-Pacific region. And that's why it's very relevant for us. Now, as said, the general objective is to assess the adequacy of CMC's food and nutrition security policy. So adequacy in terms of whether we can help or government can help enough or sufficiently those who are poor living in rural areas and overall poverty pockets, and the likely impact of such interventions on the SDG targets in context. And we know that each of the governments in the global arena, they have some target to be achieved by 2030, especially developed and developing countries. And their policies are also aligned to achieve those goals. Therefore, the specific objectives of the study are to identify interventions targeted to the poor in the current economic scenario of the globe and assess their likely impact on the targeted poor of the CMCs. Link the interventions with SDG indicators, SDG 2, Goal 2 indicators, assess their likely influence on the targets, and use the SDG 2 materials to link interventions with sub and leading indicators. And finally, assess the progress of SDG 2 in CMCs, which is progress regarding the food and nutrition outcomes of CMCs. Now, if we look into the link between SDG target and food and nutrition security policy, how they are, how one can affect other. So food insecurity is a, excuse me, I'm getting the window a little up. I'm having trouble to see. Okay. Can you come here? একটু উপরে যাবে এটা, হ্যাঁ এটা একটু লেখা, হ্যাঁ I can go down. ঠিক আছে, উপরে যাচ্ছে না, go down. So food insecurity is a household level economic okay. I'm sorry. So food insecurity is a household level economic and social condition of limited or uncertain access to adequate food as defined by USDA. That's the standard definition. On the other hand, hunger is an individual level psychological, physiological condition resulting from food insecurity. Therefore, food and nutrition policies of a government attempt to deal with such problems as involuntary lack of food. Therefore, these policies directly or indirectly deal with Sustainable Development Goal 2 and hunger, which focuses on nutritional outcomes. All the SDGs are linked. Thus, food and nutrition security policies indirectly link all the SDGs in the mid and long term. But in the very short run, we can go with the SDG 2, that end hunger. Therefore, these policies are expected to improve SDG 2, since global goal 2 of the SDG aims to eliminate hunger in the world by 2030. For SDG 2, United Nations set up 8 targets and 13 indicators. The 8 targets are comprised of like 5 outcome targets and 3 targets on means of implementation to achieve those outcomes. So if we go to the next slide, that is what is happening? Okay. That's like you see the SDG 2 goal, zero hunger. 2.1 is end hunger and ensure access by all people, access to food. 2.2 is end all forms of malnutrition. The subcategories are down there. 2.3 is double the agricultural productivity and income of smallholders. 2.4 is ensure sustainable food production system. That is to keep the food prices low. Maintain the genetic diversity of seeds, plants, farmed and domesticated animals. That's kind of like sustainability of the food system to maintain it. And then 2A, 2B, and 2C are kind of like for implementing purposes, like increase investment in agriculture infrastructure, correct and prevent trade restrictions and distortions in world agricultural markets, ensure proper functioning of food commodity markets, that there is no volatility in food commodity markets. So I'm not going through all of them, just I said to show the link. The report has all the links. Now, the goal of target 2.1, eradicate hunger and provide access to all people, especially the underprivileged and those in vulnerable circumstances by 2030. And 2030 is the target for all the goals. So target 2.2 aims to eradicate all types of malnutrition. 2.3 seeks to double agricultural production and double small-scale food producers' earnings also. And target 2.4 aim to establish sustainable food production systems to keep food affordable. And also target 2.5 aims to preserve the genetic diversity for sustainable development of the food system. Target 2.8 increase investment in rural infrastructure, as I said, aims to increase agricultural productivity in developing nations, especially least developed countries. Target 2.B aims to simultaneously eliminate all export measures with an equivalent impact on all forms of agricultural export subsidies, helping to correct and prevent trade restrictions and distortions in global agricultural markets. Target 2C intends to implement policies to guarantee the smooth operation of the markets for food, commodities, and their derivatives. So this has targeted the local market, that there is no distortion in the operation of the market for goods. So it's a kind of like to see a free and fair market, laissez-faire economy. Now the question is, that was the target for SDG, set by the SDG implementers and also given to the governments. Now the question is like, in terms of achieving those, how far we are. If we look at like productivity, so it's like, say, if we look at cereal yield as a proxy for productivity, what do we see? That we are supposed to double it by 2030, but we are looking at the figure. The latest figure is by 2022, almost halfway toward like 2030, and we are almost. Minimum. I don't see that there is too much gain in terms of productivity. So if I read, like, after declining in 2016 and 17, Sri Lanka saw a significant uptick in 2018 and 2019. However, of the 15 countries, India, Nepal, and the Philippines have the most extended spans of constant growth in their cereal yields. Countries including Malaysia and Myanmar experience negative rates of change in cereal yield.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, sir. The slide is not moving, sir. Is it? We are seeing same slide,
Same
sir.
slide?
Yeah.
The same?
Yes, SDG 2 versus nutrition comes. We are still seeing that slide, sir.
Okay, let's see. We're not supposed to here. Okay. Okay. Do you see a different one like productivity?
Yeah. Yes, productivity. Now we see a different slide, sir.
Okay. Okay. Say productivity. It shows productivity in color, right? Okay.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Now it shows like in terms of cereal yield, if we want to proxy our productivity, then what we see, we don't see a significant difference here. After declining in 2016 and 17, Sri Lanka saw a significant uptick in 18 and 19. However, of the 15 countries, India, Nepal, and the Philippines have the most extended spans of constant growth in their cereal yields. But if we see, across countries, we don't see like we are supposed to have a huge jump in productivity. But in 2020, 22, we are halfway, toward 2030, we don't see as that kind of significant jump in productivity. Another is like, is it moving agricultural land? So the proportion of agricultural land as a percentage of total land area. So we are supposed to have, significantly higher proportion of land in percent for agricultural production, so that the supply of food increases significantly. So even though agricultural land as a percentage of total land area seems preserved in a short time, the long-term trend shows the opposite trend for most countries, reflecting a concern for food security in the future. If we look at food production index, here we see that for most of the countries, there are increase in food production. Food production index is like the previous year, if we compare with previous year. So what is the percentage change? So it's kind of like one of index that we use to see the production change. Since this is like production of like hundreds of commodities or thousands of commodities, so this is the index. Now it shows like India's food production has continually shown an upward trend, which value steadily growing from 15 to 21, demonstrating thriving agricultural activities. A similar pattern is observed for Bangladesh, Nepal, Vietnam, Pakistan, suggesting a positive agricultural performance. Conversely, Iran, Myanmar, Thailand, and the Philippines saw a declining trend in food production in recent years, presumably reflecting agricultural problems. But still, we see that the food production, there is an increase, right? Maybe it's not significant, but we see that we can perceive that they're not insignificant. There are significant changes in food production. And now, if we look at the other case, like price and trade distortions, what happens, like we see that, most of the countries, they are highly dependent on customs and other import duties for tax revenues. And also over time, we see there is an increasing trend. We don't see that much decreasing trend that they're trying to remove those barriers and all those things. That means even though there is a place from SDG 2 target that we have to restrict export and other distortions in case of international trade. But here we see that in fact, they are collecting more revenues from those kind of taxes and restrictions. And in terms of like anomalies, like price anomalies, we see that there is across CMCs, there are difference, and there's a huge variability in terms of price anomaly. Now, if we look at the government policies to achieve the targets set by SDG 2, whatever they're supposed to do, we don't see significant difference. Now, if we go to now we look at like the outcomes, what happens to nutrition outcomes and other outcomes. From here, we can conclude what is happening. The CIRDAP member countries reported a decrease in the prevalence of undernourishment. except for a few countries. The study finds that the CMCs have achieved 70% of the 2022 target, in contrast to SCAF's countries reaching 54%. So we see this slightly better achievement for CIRDAP member countries compared to SCAF member countries, because SCAF has a diverse set of countries in Asia Pacific. But if I look at the others, unfortunately, most CMCs are experiencing an increase in moderate or severe food insecurity prevalence. The majority of the CMCs display a declining trend in stunting, low height for age prevalence. Pakistan, followed by Afghanistan and India, holds the highest values in the figure, with downward trends for the most CMCs since 2015. I know that I have half an hour, and then at the beginning I wasted maybe a couple of minutes. So I'll try to expedite a little bit more so that I can go over time, not that much. So if in terms of anemia, we see India, Afghanistan, and Myanmar have all experienced a significant increase in anemia prevalence since 2015, while Pakistan and the Philippines have made commendable strides in reducing anemia rates. Additionally, other countries such as Indonesia, Iran, and Thailand are also witnessing a rise in anemia prevalence among reproductive age individuals. Several countries have negative index values, implying that in terms of catching up with the 2030 targets, definitely they are far behind their targets. And now, if I look at, like, say, these nutrition outcomes, why they are far behind? Obviously, in this study, we haven't focused on the utilization aspect. We think that for a short span of time, in terms of human behavior, the way they are consuming, and also like in terms of change in their demand, overnight, over a month, or over a year, we cannot expect a significant change. But in terms of supply side, we can expect a significant change because of different shocks. And therefore, our focus is on the supply side. And the question is like, why this is happening? Like, if we look at the, slowness in terms of our achievement of nutrition outcomes, what is the reason? Definitely, there is a problem with the consumption. Definitely, there is a decline in consumption. Definitely, there is a slow growth in consumption. So to achieve, if we look at the consumption side, so to achieve the energy and food-based dietary recommendations for a typical individual within energy balance at 2330 kilocalorie per day, the least costly locally accessible items are considered the cost of a healthy diet. And we are trying to see, okay, what happened to the cost of a healthy diet over time? And what happened to their affordability of that healthy diet? So whether the falling trend results from a fall in their income, or rising prices, or increasing income less than their price hike, their average purchasing power has declined in recent years. Obviously, we have to conclude that their purchasing power has declined because that's why their consumption has declined. And if there is a consumption decline, obviously there will be, we'll see a downtrend, or we'll see the slowness in nutrition outcomes. So if we look at the healthy diet cost, Bangladesh started with a healthy diet cost of $2.88 in 2017 and experienced a steady increases with a spectacular 4.47 increase in 2021. So every year we have seen an increase in the healthy diet cost. India, among the other CMCs, has to bear the minimum cost to afford a healthy diet in 2021, that is $3 plus, but still characterized by a moderate, steady cost increase. Over time, there is an increase in healthy diet. Even though Nepal showcased steady progress with a 4.9% increase in 2021, its people still had to bear $4.62 per day to afford a healthy diet, the highest among the CMCs. So there is a increase in the healthy diet cost over the couple of years. So these increased costs made many people unable to afford them. Overall, the percentage of people who cannot afford a healthy diet has declined substantially in recent years due to several factors. And so there is a graph in the report. We can see, like, for most of the countries, there is a decline in affordability, the percentage of people who can afford. So the increased cost of a healthy diet, coupled with slow growth or decline of income at the lower income strata, might be the factors behind that. Now, the increase in the cost of a healthy diet has to come from, the inflation of food prices driven by supply side phenomenon, because we have seen that there is an increase in food production index. That means there is an increase in the food production, but still we'll see that there is an increase in the prices. So if there is a price movement like upward, then the question is like which is the dominant one? Dominant one is the inflation. So if we look at the inflation figure that is in the report, Afghanistan saw relatively modest inflation, close to 5%, until 2022, when it experienced a significant spike of 13.7%. Bangladesh, India, and the Philippines maintained relatively stable inflation rates over the years, with India and the Philippines experiencing a recent increase in the COVID period. In contrast, Iran had exceptionally high inflation since 2015, reaching an alarming 45.8% in 2022. Inflation in the Lao PDR increased over the COVID period. So this is a phenomenon that was concern for the globe, and globally every country was trying to face the high inflation. Now, definitely ineffectiveness of policies. The government has taken policies, but an increase in labor productivity, we don't see a significant increase in labor productivity. So obviously, if there is a slight increase in labor productivity, is expected to produce increased producers' earnings, but it raises the food supply in the markets. But theoretically, if there is an increase in productivity, it will increase the supply in the market. Therefore, there will be a pressure on the price. Price is supposed to fall, but still, producers can have higher income because of the expansion of their production volume. But it didn't happen here. Despite lower prices, farmers are expected to benefit from higher income due to increased production volume. But how can small-scale farmers in the bottom income strata experience increased productivity and income? We found that they haven't, gained from that. How do you ensure their adequate access to natural and financial resources for productive activities? So even though there are some momentum, but that was not for small scale group farmers. But the SDG target was doubling income earnings of the small scale producers in rural areas. So returns to farming are stagnant. Thus, small farmers are increasingly depending on non-farm activities in rural areas and outside. Many intend to switch out of agriculture. This has created a concern for food security, since certain products do not show international markets in case of supply shocks. What we have experienced in 2007-8. For rice and for some products, we found no virtual international market. So despite the government's various drives, along with the SDG focus, a muted improvement in agricultural productivity has been achieved. There exists a significant level of trade barriers and duties on cross-border trade, as shown in the earlier slides. This happens due to maintaining the internal stability of food prices and generating government revenues from its vast spending. This reality contrasts with the target of correcting and preventing trade restrictions and distortions in world agricultural market, which is mentioned in the SDG 2 target. Now, inflation, a consistent increase in price level, definitely. So is a threat to the security of food security of food people in CMCs. But inflation is a macroeconomic phenomenon, and thus macroeconomic policymakers should look into these issues seriously with adequate fiscal support for the poor when inflation becomes inevitable. But unfortunately, for many countries, they don't have fiscal space to bring that amount of resources for those poor people in the lower income strata. And also, country-specific realities drive macroeconomic policies, often overemphasizing economic growth instead of distributive justice. So redistributive macroeconomic policies can be pursued to improve the food security of the poor. And another issue is price instability is another concern for the most CMCs. Price fluctuations harm vulnerable populations, and thus they require targeted interventions to ensure food affordability and accessibility. Governments need to intervene to achieve food price stability in the CMCs through some mid-term policies, because in the short-term policies, they are very volatile. But in the midterm, they have to focus on the policies to maintain price stability. improved agricultural and labor productivity can reduce production cost. And if there is a reduction in production cost, obviously price will go down, but this is a long-term phenomenon. And still the variability will remain a concern due to cross-border trade and market interventions. And I'm almost about to finish my presentation. A concerted effort by CMC's trading partner can mitigate price instability in case of imported products. For example, several CMCs depend on India for food imports such as rice, onion, etc. When India restricts export to other CMCs to ensure the stability of local prices, other CMCs dependent on India for these products face price instability due to smaller imports. Therefore, a coordinated action may partially mitigate such price instability. But for a specific country to impose restrictions for internal stability, price stability, that is also justified. So when there is a coordination, across time, then maybe the effect can get mitigated. Sometimes, like India cannot export to other countries, Bangladesh cannot export to other countries, but if there is a coordinated action, it may dampen the impact. But still, every country has to pursue their policies in terms of their policy and politics. Another reality is that the substantial productivity improvement requires an extended period. We need short and mid-term policies to keep price variability minimal in the short run, enhancing transfer to the poor through government social safety net programs. So stabilizing supplies of essential food products by incentivizing the supply chains, private stakeholders with supportive policies may be appropriate. Sometimes the prices are very high, and at that time, government come to take ad hoc policies, even further destabilizing the behavior of the market players. So policies such as keeping import tariffs low on essential food commodities may help stabilize prices, but they may hurt small-scale agricultural producers too. So we need to blend that price support also when we are reducing prices or reducing restrictions on imports. Providing input subsidies to small-scale farmers may help lower prices, but we must align them with appropriate price support mechanism. There is a relationship between short and long-term goals. Sometimes, like in the short term, price of a commodity depends on its demand and supply, but in the long run, price depends on the cost of a product, which I said. We have to bring measures to reduce the cost. If we can reduce cost, then definitely we can have the poor in a longer span of time. Therefore, productivity increases are necessary to keep production costs low, locally or globally. This means CMCs must pursue higher agricultural land and labor productivity in the long run. Small-scale agricultural producers want to leave agriculture due to relatively lower returns, which threatens the food security of individual countries. Often, there is no international market for essential food items during economic shocks or natural calamities. For example, we experienced something in 2008. We had dollar, but we couldn't. Many countries, they face problem in importing cereal crops. They couldn't. So policies must address the issue by making farming more attractive to small-scale producers. I think that's all I'm trying to say today. Since couple of slides, I'll just skip. I'll provide the slides. I'm over time. So I'll just stop here. I'll go to the question and answer session. If there's any question, I can come back to that. Thank you. Thank you all. So what was I not connected? Yeah, I'm connected now. Do you hear me, Rain?
Yeah, yes, sir. We can hear you, sir.
I just cut short because I had half an hour, so I have 5-7 minutes over. And that's why I go back to the floor so that if there's a question, I can address.
Dr. Helal, if possible, come on video.
Can we do? I have a video. Where's my video?
The floor is open for interaction. Any questions? clarifications, either directly you can ask or you can type and put it in the chat box so we can take it to speaker.
Okay. Why am I not to the video? What happened?
Good afternoon, sir.
Okay, good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Professor was.
May I ask a question? Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You can ask. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Greetings to all, to the DG, His Excellency, and all the others present in the meeting today. First of all, I would like to congratulate Dr. Helal for taking up such a study, a comparative study among CIRDAP member countries, which is a very difficult task. I just would like to know your source of data for this. Maybe I missed it initially because I joined a little late. Because comparison of CIRDAP member countries and depending on the data, reliance on the data, which is varied. How did you come to such findings and conclusion? And this is one. The second aspect is, now that you have found some of the many findings, I found it a little surprising. For instance, anemia, in countries like Thailand, Philippines, and Indonesia is very high, whereas in countries like some of the findings were really surprising. So the question of this anemia, which is I found in some countries surprising, like Malaysia and all. So these are some things. How do you because was the data uniform for you to make this kind of comparisons? And then the second thing is, how are you going to propose, to disseminate these findings among the member countries so that, CIRDAP as an intergovernmental organization, undertaking such research studies and, spending a lot of time and, resources on this, would definitely, be interested in, disseminating these to the relevant countries and how ensure that, those countries are also aware of these kind of findings in their country based on this comparison between countries. These are my questions.
Okay.
Dr. Helal?
Yes, I got your points. I don't know why my video is not showing up. So I'm just using my audio. One thing is like the data sources. For the documentation purposes, we contact contact ministry and receive different policy documents at the beginning. For the data sources, like the World Bank and other sources, the common sources I have utilized, like say, for example, cost of a healthy diet. It was the variables was created by FAO, and I have mentioned that in the report. So FAO data, there is a link to that reference, and also how they have constructed the methodology and all those things. So I have got those variables for only target countries, and then I have made the analysis. So as in terms of uniformity, since say World Development Indicators or others, they have collected data from the different country sources, and we utilize, we think that there kind of standardization has been done by them. But still, once I have written the draft report, I have circulated to the member countries, like the technical TC members and other relevant concerned. And then whatever the feedbacks I have got from them in terms of data, in terms of analysis, I have incorporated them. So that was the procedure. And also now we have finalized it, and it will be a published one will be circulated. But before that, couple of circulations we have gone through, but not it is not like open circulation. It was in the contact ministry and the technical experts.
This meeting is being recorded.
Dr. Bashanti. Is there any other question? This is sir. Is there any other question?
Any other clarifications?
Dr. Helal, could you explain this in advanced countries like Malaysia and all, this level of anemia and all is really surprising, your findings.
Yeah, actually only 2% of the population in Malaysia lives in rural areas.
Yeah,
The,
so it's
I think
very
these
surprising,
facilities
sir.
are, yeah, Dr. Hilal, this data is taken from FAO, which year annual data?
I mean, if can you stop the other one? Okay.
You can mute the other system. Yeah,
Yeah, I just switching off.
yeah, now it is clear.
Okay. Yeah. About the information about the data in the methodology section, I have explained them, and also like the data series, like what I have used. There are graphs in that relevant section. I can go. Anybody can go and check the data series. So far, I haven't heard anything because a couple of round of circulation I have made. So if there is any observation, if there is a deviation in terms of data, we can still look into it.
Now, of course, food security and the health status or nutritional, even though they are related, they can be different also.
It kind of like
So definitely that is possible. Hello.
I think there's a problem on Hilal sir's audio, sir. He's trying. Sir, you can just off your video and just on your audio, because whenever you try to open your video, then there is a problem, sir. Just close your video, sir. Then it is okay. It will be okay, I guess.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you hear me now?
Yeah. Yes. Now it's okay. Now it's okay.
I think it's okay now. Okay. Yeah. This is sir. Yeah. You asked me one question, but I couldn't get the question completely because of instability in the system.
It was discussed. Any other questions from others? Any questions in chat box, Hurain?
And especially from Iran, because Iran has extensive comments on the report more than any other countries.
Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes.
Yes.
How are you, Prof? Uddin?
I'm
Very
doing okay.
nice to see you. And hello also to DG, Honorable DG, Director General CIRDAP, and also my colleagues there. So just no comments, really. We enjoyed from the report. Thank you very much for the CIRDAP to organizing this kind of event and sharing this kind of information. Nothing actually from my side, just to thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it is for the information of
this report will be published. Your presentation.
Actually, we have placed the report. We have placed the report in CIRDAP website. You can access. We have already circulated to more than 75,000 people in CIRDAP mailing list. So it is widely circulated. Probably we will be working for a policy brief later so that it is very comprehensive and easy for policymakers to take it forward.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, Furain, I think in chat box there are no questions, right? You unmute, please.
Yes. No, sir. Actually.
Is it too tough? I don't know.
No.
Question.
I guess
That's why I thought I'll leave.
We have already, sir, we have already placed this RDR report in our website, and we are going to make hard copy, obviously, but that's very limited copies. The hard copies will be very limited, but it is already in our website, and we have already circulated to our experts.
Helal, this report,
yes,
this report is already in the hands of more than 75,000 people. We have circulated.
Yes.
So maybe what I would request is a brief policy report, mostly focusing on recommendations. If it comes out, we will share with our respective governments to take it further. We can work it out later leisurely.
Sir, there is a hand raised by Dr. Zubaidul Kabir. Sir, can you? Yeah, sure. Sir, can you unmute? Then, Dr. Zubaidul Kabir, can you please unmute your audio? Then.
Yeah, do you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, respected DG sir and all others. Yes, obviously this report is very useful, will be useful for policy recommendation or policy implication, has policy implication. And I'm not talking about the reliability or validity of data or whatsoever. I hope this is a good effort, and hopefully it will be useful. Particularly as I'm working at this moment, Ministry of Fisheries and Livestock. So hopefully there will be information, and there is information already that will be useful for us. I mean, for fisheries and livestock sector, which is extended to rural areas and also including urban. So that's all. Just a comment on this. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, regarding the data, just I would like to reiterate, the data is based on the information available from FAO. It is also cross-checked by respective governments of CIRDAP member countries. So it is 100% reliable. Let us not have any confusion on that.
Right.
Yeah, we have calculated a couple of times to each of the country. Those who are like technical expert and technical committee members, we receive their inputs, whatever it is, and we have incorporated. And also, like not only FAO is one aspect, World Development Indicators and other sources. So whatever the sources, the standard sources, like globally used. But still, if there is a gap, if someone can come, okay, there is a gap in terms of data, we can incorporate them later. In case of policy briefs, we can clear it out. As Bashanti says, if there is a gap in terms of that data, we can incorporate it into policy brief. That's fine. If there is no other question, then that's all, I guess.
Yeah. Rain, we can.
Okay. Thank you. First of all, I would like to give a heartfelt thanks to our honorable speaker, because he is a very busy in his current position, but still he give his 1 hour time for us for CIRDAP, as he was our director research. So thank you, sir, and thank you our all other technical committee member who actually contributed, because in this the preparation of this report, I was a part of Helal sir team, because I was circulating that manuscript 2 to 3 times. So our technical committee member, they gave a lot of input, especially Iran, as I remember, because Iran, Dr. Ali Kiani sir gave a lot of input in the written format and also during our technical committee meeting 2 times also. So thank you all of our honorable technical committee member, and thank you all our CIRDAP experts who are joining in this webinar. And this report is already placed, as Director General of the CIRDAP has said, that it is already placed in our website, and also it is circulated more than 70,000 people through our email list. So it is accessible by everyone. So it's a very, and I have seen that Helal sir worked very hard, he and his team, during last 2 years, because several times they had a meeting. I have seen that, though I was not directly part of the research team, but as a communication officer, sometimes for the communication part, I have seen that. So thank you, sir, for giving us such a very informative flagship report, because CIRDAP has 2 very prestigious flagship book. One is Absorbed, and which is a journal, and another one is Rural Development Report. So thanks again to all joining to this webinar. Hopefully you will join in our next webinar, who will be as a part of our knowledge series of CIRDAP, and it will be all, and by the way, this recording will be placed in our YouTube channel also, so you can go through and you can listen to the explanation, to the briefing by Helal sir on this topic. And also, if you have any further questions, you can directly send to me through email. So if you have any questions, we can refer it to the honorable speaker also. And lastly, thank you, our Honorable Director General of CIRDAP, Dr. P. Chandrasekhara, for joining with us. And he is planning to do at least 2 webinars in each month throughout the 2025. And he is the planner of this CIRDAP knowledge series. So earlier we did webinar series, but he transformed it as a knowledge series. So do join with us through this webinar. You will learn, and you will get to learn more new things. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you, everyone, for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Helal, and all the participants.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hurain.
Thank you very much. Thank
Nicely
you.
coordinated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you from Malaysia.
Thank you.